Hey, this is Scott Snyder, and you're watching the Sci-Fi Center.
Welcome to the Sci-Fi Center, the place to be, where comic books and wrestling collide magically. Movies, TV shows, and pop culture we share. Get ready to rock, we're here to take you there. From superheroes to aliens in outer space, we've got the latest news and reviews in our embrace. Turn on your screen, let the neon lights glow, take you back to the 80s. Let's rock and roll. Sci-Fi Center, where the legends come alive. Get ready to geek out, let your imagination fly. We're diving into the past with a touch of modern flair. Sci-Fi Center, the ultimate pop culture lair.
Hello and happy Sunday. Welcome to the Sunday Night Weekend Wrap-Up, abbreviated edition. Like I said in the thumbnail, my coverage last couple of days has been kind of crazy because we've just been getting a lot of stuff done at the center, and then I'm prepping to leave town. That's where the coverage will pick up. So a lot of the stuff I've been doing has been in prep for what we're going to be doing beginning Wednesday evening. I leave Wednesday afternoon, land in San Diego about 1, 2 o'clock. Headed straight to the convention center to meet up with Troma. And then from that point on, I'm going to start hunting some people down, doing some interviews, taking some footage. Got a brand new gyro cam. I'll play around with that. And we'll do a lot of, for those of you who followed the coverage last year, we did an indoor throughout the entire con floor walk. And then we did the gas lamp, the district that's right outside the convention center. Didn't like the way that looked. I mean, I thought it was a fun thing to do, but I did it on my phone, and this year I'll actually have a specialized camera that we'll be doing that on. So I also ordered a new camera for the laptop one night because every time I leave town, we do streams somewhere. I have to take the ring light with me. Well, some places it's just I only like to travel with one bag. I only like to travel with one. I don't like paying for an extra bag, and I'm from the military. Days I travel lightly unless I had to. Whenever we weren't, deployment or anything like that, when you have like a big rucksack, when you were just traveling on orders or on business or classes or anything like that, you always got used to if it isn't absolutely necessary, don't take it. So I like to have all the electronic equipment that I'm going to have be able to fit with everything else I got, one backpack. So that's what I'm going to be doing. So I got a camera that had the ring light, a nice, powerful ring light built into it. You guys should notice the difference next time I'm on the air. The next time I'm going to be on the air probably is going to be Wednesday evening when I get settled in to where I'll be staying for Comic-Con. So thank you to everybody who has chipped in and contributed to make this trip possible. If you would still like to, the link is also in the description for the PayPal if you want to send William to Comic-Con in style, if you want to do a watch along, or if you want to host your own show like Larry's going to be doing as soon as he gets the date that he wants. There it is right there. And there we go. So yeah, this will be me in about 2.5 days. Not walking around with a bag because I'm too cheap to buy anything, but yeah, there we go. And it's going to be a lot of fun. This is the time of year where I need to get the fuck out of Vegas. Of all the seasons that we have here, the hot season, the dry season, winter, spring, I fucking hate monsoon with a passion. I hate monsoon to the point I just want to punch someone for no reason. That's what I hate. Humidity, rain, just garbage weather. So I cannot wait to get on that plane and land in San Diego, California. And it looks like the weather is semi shitty here in Vegas for the week. I mean, chances of rain. I see the weatherman complaining, "Oh, we don't really have a monsoon." Says, fuck you, all right? Fuck you. It's enough. But I will be looking at my phone. I will be looking at the shitty weather here in Vegas and be like, wow, sucks for them. I'm going to put the phone down and enjoy about 75 ocean breeze for a good 4 to 5 days. 5 days, 4 nights. That's what we're doing here. So, and each year I come back, it's really hard to get back on that plane and come to this sauna at the end of every Comic-Con, but I end up doing it. So, oh well. All right, tonight is going to be a brief show. I got a lot going on in the morning, but just wanted to touch bases, kind of like last night's show. The next Saturday overnight show will be at Comic-Con. It will be after we've done Hall H. It will be after I've done the Trauma panel. It'll probably be a little bit later because I got some interviews set up. I might hit some nightlife stuff. I mean, there's a lot of things that are going on that, don't require wristbands and tickets. So I might check all that out and just take you guys with me. But looking forward to it. And then we'll get back to normal the week after next week, whatever normal is. And no, I have. Hey, what's up, Damien? How are you doing, man? Long time no see. Good to see you. Good. The Duckman is here. The Ozzy is here. You're asking Aaron, but I have not seen it yet. I probably will not see it until we get back. Either that or Les Phil or Ronan, one of those guys. If they all want to get together and go see it, we might do that. But we also have to be in position and coordinate, so that we can get the best coverage from Hall H, which is, for me, on Friday with Blade Runner 2029 getting revealed, and the date for that getting revealed, it's going to be a very, very important one that I'm looking forward. And then a few hours later in Hall H on Friday, not Saturday, but Friday, we're going to have the Lantern presentation for HBO Max. So I'm going to be covering that and bringing that guy up. So I will be streaming every day of Comic-Con. I will be streaming Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday. Sunday, we may even do it from the airport, depending on how long, what time my flight leaves. Or I might get back here and we just might have a complete review of the entire 5 days. So, but we will be streaming and in some cases, we're going to be streaming at some weird hours because I'm going to be coordinating with people, and I may be doing an overnight shift. Who knows? And already, if you know this show at all, I don't sleep normal hours, so I'm going to be up. If I can find somewhere to stream, I want to do all-nighters like we used to do, like all-nighters, and I mean, good true all-nighter, 4 or 5, 6 hours just to keep myself going. So we'll have some fun with that over the weekend, mainly on Friday and Saturday, and then I will try to use this opportunity to meet some people, maybe not the most famous people in the world, but there's a lot of independent filmmakers, a lot of independent comic book creators that are going to be there. And a lot of times those people are the ones that want to talk to you. The big wigs are like, get away from me, But some of the people who are just breaking through, some of the people who are there's a lot of first-time movie makers that will be at this convention. As a matter of fact, one of the things I have to do tomorrow night, one of the people who we're going to be interviewing, I got to watch his movie so we can talk to him about that while we're at Comic-Con. But it's going to be a lot of fun, so I'm looking forward to it. Let's see, it's been relatively cool in Vegas past couple of days. I feel it's been hot as fuck, but that's just me. Haven't seen it. It's sprinkled in my neighborhood. Mainly it's the cloud and the humidity that's really making it hard to breathe. Allergies already fuck it up for me now, but when the air gets so heavy, it just becomes a detriment. I know why you hate monsoon. Your swamp cooler doesn't work well, but it makes the AC work great. Actually, it fucked up my AC, both my ACs too. I had to drop some coin on that I didn't really want to do, but hey. Weird hours as of 9 a.m. Well, I'll be off. I average get up time over the first couple of days, depending on what shift I draw, will be in the 4 o'clock area because they're going to probably start lining people up for each day around then, and then they roll up the green flag, and that's when you can start lining up. But we'll want to be in the vicinity because some of the guys that I think I'll be going with are going to are going to want to be up close as possible, and that required waiting like immediately. So, but we want to do it in a way that we doesn't consume our entire convention. So, and I got some autographs I'm going to get, and some things I want to see, and then some business cards I want to pick up because these conventions help me build supply lines, people that I can get stuff to year round. So there you go. Are the air conditioning systems in your system for your plumbing in Vegas not designed for flooding? No, nothing in Vegas is designed for flooding. The city was built without any forethought that it would ever rain here. And to be quite honest, when I got here at the end of '93 and throughout the '90s, it didn't rain very much here. When it rained here, it was a rarity, like it does now. I mean, 1999 we had a really bad flash flood, but then for years. And over the last 10 years, it's increased. Over the last 5 years, it's increased. 2023 was probably the worst, and that's when it started to really fucking piss me off. And we had a hurricane situation, and then we had the monsoon come together and fuck up every aspect of my life. Everywhere I exist, that weather and for there was a time during that period where every single weekend in September, I think, it just rained. It would be clear through the week, and then Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, bam, here comes some rain. Now, if you know anything about the genre and shit that I'm in, it's a weekend business. The last thing I needed was that. And that's why when people walk up to me and I say, oh, we needed it. And I'm like, maybe I need to choke you until your eyeballs pop out of your head, maybe I need to take you to one of the puddles or one of the flood zones that your quarter inch created of water created and maybe drown you in it. Maybe that's what I need. So yeah. Hate this time of year. That's what makes Comic-Con so even more special than it already is. Like, get the fuck out of this fish tank that Vegas becomes this time of year. So, but no, nothing about this city was built for water. Because I'm watching reruns of a show called Counting Cars, and the guys in Vegas said they had massive flood that destroyed the whole building. Yep. No, listen, we can send people to the moon, find ways to get water to Vegas without begging for rain, because it does nobody good. This city and most of its buildings were not built for this, and as climate has changed, and anybody tries to tell you there's no such thing as climate change, you need to just walk away from them. As the climate has changed and pressure systems move from different places and occur in different places, we've had more rain. I've been here for 30 some odd years. So I know, what I've seen, and I know how it was, and I know how it is now, and it's bullshit. So yeah, San Diego, here I come. Don't worry about it. When could there be on the stream like the Flash has mentioned? Probably when I come back from Comic-Con. I wanted to do it last night, but the reality got in the way. But I have that stream planned. I have my thoughts planned out for that. And it's not just going to be about the Flash. The Flash is a focal point of it, but it's probably going to have to wait till after Comic-Con because I don't want to put together a half-ass stream while I'm focusing on other stuff for the week that, a little bit more higher priority. But we'll get to it, though. Don't worry. I thought about trying to do it tonight, but the way I want to visually present it, I don't want to throw it together. William has very selective memory when it comes to the rain in the early 90s. No, I don't. I remember this shit very vividly. Trust me. I mean, we may have a different perspective from it, but no, it wasn't. What we had in the 90s versus what we had, these last 3 to 5 years, it's like being on a different planet. It's like literally being on a different planet. I don't let any guy just take out my OM. Oh, jeez. Yeah. I don't know if you probably don't know any of them, so maybe you do, but I started to watch the Little House on the Prairie reboot on Netflix, and I found it pretty good. Fantastic acting. I'm sure Tadum has actors are going to be a huge hit with the crowd. Okay. I remember that show when I was a kid. My wife wants to watch the Prairie. Okay, we got to skip over that. It's frustration even seeing that you had to deal with it because I think you said you had to redo your store because the building uses basically from no Cuban Missile Crisis era, 1961. It precedes Vietnam era. But yeah, when we were upstairs, I mean, now it's not as bad. Now the air conditioning this week was being fixed, but yeah. I had been in this plaza for years, and the current weather, the weather we had, going back to 2010 when I was first in this particular building, we didn't have roof leaks. We didn't have this kind of problem because we didn't have that much rain. That's why I know there's a difference between now and then. Australia has experienced one of the driest winters in history. Firefighters are already fearing the summer, and we can have some of my water. That was I brought up 1999. That wasn't the early 90s though. That was 1999. Remember, because I was there when the underpass they had to rescue that person because that bull thought he could drive through it, and he had to be rescued. Remember that the helicopter had to pull his ass out. I remember that. That wasn't the 100-year flood was 1999, Clint. That was monsoon in 1999, and that was something we didn't get in 2000. We didn't get anything like that. We went for decades without shit like that. I'm okay. If we had some bullshit weather every 100 years, all right, cool. I'm only gonna I might see one. That's about it. But when you have a trend, the desert. If I was sitting in Portland, all right, that's what I paid. That's what I bought in for. If I was sitting in Seattle, all right, rain, Seattle, all right, in the fucking desert. I have no patience for this shit. Hello, long time no see.
Well, I mean, last night, we didn't do the normal time, and I thought, there was a show, and then by the time you messaged me, I was offline.
William, probably not. Unless they if they add something to it, but I'm not gonna. That's a 3 hour and 20-minute movie. 3 hour. I just don't feel like watching that movie again. Unless there's something that they're going to say I need to watch. Or they're going to add an end credit. They'll probably add a new end credit scene in the re-release. But I'm like, that shit will pop up somewhere. I hear there's a new Cyberpunk show on Netflix that acts as a good comparison to Altered Carbon, which is basically a comparison to Blade Runner. I can't remember the name. Probably called Cyberpunk. William, since X-Men and F4 weren't able to be used after Endgame, which names would you use or moves until you get the rights to X-Men? What do you mean? They've had them. They actually had them before then, but they didn't. They had just got them. So okay, I rephrase your question, Sona, because they have the rights to X-Men and Fantastic Four. Are you asking me who they should have used in the interim? Well, it would have been the same characters. I to be perfectly honest with you, I thought there should have been a game plan in place once they purchased these characters, because by the time Endgame came around, you'd had those characters, and then you had all these years in between. The only major movie you had was Thor: Love and Thunder, which was a horrible movie, and then you had Spider-Man: No Way Home. You didn't have an A-list movie out that, so they could have they had time, but they had a plan, I guess, for post Secret Wars, to where they don't want to introduce the new X-Men into this current universe. And with Fantastic Four is going to they're one of the reasons, or one of these story points to Doomsday and Secret Wars, so you have to have them there. So, I guess they just didn't want to. They didn't want to do it sooner than later. I don't know why, but they had the rights. It's just that they have them now. I don't know why they didn't make a move sooner to get all this, because a lot of the stuff that we had in the interim was just holdover stuff that really just turned people off. So. Oh, William, do you think Disney is going to re-release Disney is going to re-release the last 3 Spider-Man movies in theater? I don't know if they'll release all 3. I don't know if they'll release any.
Well, it's getting pretty close.
The problem with re-releasing these is each screen that these ones takes away a screen from Brand New Day, and Brand New Day is the priority screening. So you're probably going to want every screen available to be being utilized for Brand New Day. They can watch those other ones on Disney Plus. So, climate change is real. People, look at what's happening in the Great Barrier Reef. Yeah, look at what happened in Vegas, man. Come on. Brad saying he is offline means he's in bed with his jammies. William, that image of your Spider-Man pose is new levels of I don't know what. That was the point. That was the point. New levels of silliness is probably what you're looking for. William, as a science fiction fan, what are your thoughts on time travel that Marvel uses in their movies? That's bullshit. It's kindergarten bullshit that they don't even take seriously. See, Marvel knows at that point of Endgame they had you. They could serve you a pile of shit, and any MCU fans are going to eat it up and ask for more. So they could come up with a bullshit.
A couple of years later, they did serve a pile of shit. It was called Thor: Love and Thunder.
Yeah, I mean, $750 million worth of people went and saw even that. But Marvel's time travel, that time travel that they utilize in their MCU is horrible. They actually do a better job refining it when it comes to like Loki, when the TVA and the variants and all that. They do a better job when they want to. They just didn't want to, and they didn't feel like they needed to in Endgame. And if we have bullshit like Back to the Future embedded into our culture, and we take that for science fact. So then, in many ways, they're right. Nobody's really going to. They're just going to enjoy the ride. But no, I'm more of a Star Trek when it comes to time explanation for my entertainment. Star Trek usually doesn't let me down, unless it's The Voyage Home, which they will all been dead going around the sun like that. So, William, I was wondering which names you would have used for movies instead of Black Widow, Eternals, who don't sell. I would have all the stuff that we're about to go through right now with Doomsday and Secret Wars. I would have moved that up. I would have moved all that up. So there would not have been a huge gap in between Endgame and what we have now, which is the next major movie, which is Spider-Man. And that's it. All these other movies, even I love Thunderbolts, Captain America, Brave New, all those aren't the main course. It's been 5 years since we've had a main course meal when it came to Marvel. So I would have closed that gap. So the question you're asking is actually the same as that we have now. I would have used Fantastic Four a lot sooner. I would have used Spider-Man again a lot sooner. I would have done something with the Celestials, but had something to do with the pod. There's a lot of stuff I would have done, but they did it on their time table. But it's the same names that I would use as the same ones that they're using now. It just took too long. Time travel is totally bullshit no matter what movie it is, except for Terminator. William, you think Ghost Rider is something that you would have done better? Black Widow? No. I think Ghost Rider would have bombed. I think because nobody cares. Nobody cares about the character. Same thing with Eternals. Same thing with some of these other ones they did. Nobody cares about these characters. The only reason that they know or care about these characters is because they are in the light of the main adventures. You only know or care about most of these characters when they are in the atmosphere of the ones you do care about. Or something is going on. Like everybody always tries to bring up Guardians of the Galaxy. That's the lamest comparison you could possibly build up. Marvel MCU was running like a well-oiled machine, had several billion-dollar movies in the tank, and its credibility was soaring at the time. And that's where you put a movie like Guardians of the Galaxy. But if Guardians of the Galaxy would have been the first movie, we wouldn't even be having this conversation because a lot of people would have been fired from the outset. So characters like Ghost Rider, those aren't characters that I think would have done well in the box office. Now, once the MCU gets rolling with the A-listers again, then yeah, maybe you can toss a Ghost Rider in there, characters of that ilk. But right now, nah. And in the interim between 2021 and now, no, I think that would have bombed or been at very best disappointing. I like Love and Thunder. To each his own. I thought it was hot garbage, but everybody's got their opinion on it. So, Quantum Mania is much worse, except for the funniest death scene.
I barely remember like either of the Ant-Man sequels, other than like the end credits of the second one. You know, that was after Infinity War.
Well, Quantum Mania, they didn't even do it. A lot of people were like, "Well, how does this guy beat Kang? Kang's supposed to be all powerful." I'm like, that Kang that they took out wasn't going to be the end game Kang that you would have seen. He would. That's the whole point of Kang. Is he's in many ways he's impossible to defeat because he's faced you in so many other different ways that other time streams that he has access to, that he knows what's coming. He knows what you're going to do. So not a lot. I don't think they did a good job explaining Kang. Because he's a complicated character, but and I always tell you that comic book fans are not stupid, but Kang is a complicated character that even educated people need guidance on, and they just never really wanted to do the work to do it. Doctor Doom is a much larger, much more simple brand name than Kang was. I think they didn't want to spend too much of their momentum explaining Kang, explaining Mortis, explaining the Scarlet Centurion, explaining Ramatut. These are things that.
I mean,
what's that?
Oh, no, nothing. Yeah.
I think that's they looked at it as it was coming along, and I just think that they felt that it'd just be a lot easier. It should be a lot easier to say, look, Doom, here's what Doom is doing. There's not 10,000 of them, so. But I thought Quantum Mania had potential. It just didn't reach it. Well, I'm just finding other big names besides Spider-Man or X-Men that obviously sell. No, that's it. You're naming them. It's not the names that you're looking for so enough. It's when they did it. It's them taking too long to do it. Instead of having these things in development the moment you purchase these characters, because I believe that wasn't it 2018? It was 2017 or 2018 that they acquired Fox, and they already had Spider-Man. So hold on, when did Disney acquire Fox? Was it 2018? When did Disney buy Fox? I think it was 2018. March 20th, 2019. For 73 billion that they're 71 billion that they're still going on. So you figure how long it would have developed, because the MCU at that point, as we know, it would have been over. So anything you did with the X-Men and the Fantastic Four would have been things that would have been the ones in between. I still think they may have struggled because you would take you time to build up that type of momentum that they had at the end of May of 2019. But at least you would have been able, by the time that we got to Fantastic Four's release, they would have been well on their way to being established as A-listers instead of where they were at the time that they came out. I think the names are already there, so enough. I just think they took too long to institute them or implement them. Yep, hit the like button and you're fun and you're happy. Primer is the best time travel movie I've ever seen. Very realistic. I've never seen that. Frequency is one of the better ones I've seen. Frequency is it's done on linear time. It's done on real time, linear time.
Well, it's not time travel per se either. It's like communicating across time, kind of a.
Well, we as the viewer are the time travelers because we are watching what's happening at a certain point, and they're acting it out on either end of the time. So it's technically, I would consider I would consider it a time travel movie. It's classified as science fiction time travel, but it's the best theoretic one. And if you look at like Dr. Manhattan, anything he is in is time travel by virtue of what he can do. And Frequency goes on the same basic concept as Dr. Manhattan sees time. He is experiencing time. He's experiencing the past, the future, and the present all at once. So even though he is not time traveling, the viewer basically is. If you have watched Watchmen that came out in 2021, 2019, you'll see a lot of that how that is affected. So, but I have not seen Primer. Well, I've been getting in arguments. Okay, that's getting in arguments with people on the internet. about Superman still, and they're saying the movie was horrendous because it's just another rehash of Guardians. Do you agree with? No, I don't think Superman was horrendous. It's not Man of Steel, and a lot of people will come after me for saying that. I don't give a fuck. It's not as awe-inspiring and as majestic as Man of Steel, but it's not a horrendous. I wouldn't say horrendous. And I think that when I hear people say that it's just another Guardians or they use the Guardians trope, I start tuning those people out politely. I either switch the subject because I know I'm automatically talking to somebody who's just being lazy. And even if you weren't being lazy, you're talking about a formula that worked, that made a lot of money. But I think it's the former. I think it's just lazy. Listen, you don't have to be in every conversation. If you don't have anything to say, just shut the fuck up. Yeah, it's just you don't have to come up with some of these dumb cliches that I hear passed around. Or just because there's an animal. Oh, there's an animal inside Guardians. Oh my God, there's a strong guy inside Guardians. I'm like, put some thought into what you're saying or shut up. It's real easy. So yeah, I think that's a cop out when it comes to the whole Guardian thing. I'm tired of hearing that trope. There's a lot that you could criticize James Gunn about. But
Supergirl was absolutely a Guardians knockoff.
No, it wasn't.
The hell it isn't.
If you're going to engage, this is you've been getting in arguments. This is what I'm going to help you out with, Anthony. When you hear this, change the subject because you're not engaging in anything that's going anywhere. You're basically talking to the last person and the last person and the last person that person talked to because there's no original thought there. Just change the subject, talk about the weather, bring up another movie because that's where that argument's going to come from. Because you're not really talking to somebody that really had anything to say. They're just rehashing shit that they heard somewhere else. That's what the internet gives us. It gives us other people's thoughts. And sometimes we replace them with, our own, and it's not good. So that's rule number one is if you're not talking to some people that have original thought process, the arguments are inevitable. The arguments are inevitable because they didn't have anything to say to begin with. So no. And so at the end of your question, no, I don't agree with that. I think there are plenty of criticisms that you could throw at James Gunn, but the lazy go-to is not one of them for me. Let's see. Why do you think it's just I didn't even see the second part. Yes, I could have gone straight to the bottom of your question. Yes, it's lazy. Capital L-A-Z-Y. It's lazy. And listen, conversations take at least two people. We're all grown men and women. Most of everybody who's watching or participating in the shows, you're adults. You, at this point in your life, should be able to have a filling out process of where a conversation. It's like talking to when you sit down in a bar and somebody sits down next to you, automatically if you're sitting next to a drunk or not. And if you are, there's no coherent conversation to be had there. Get up and go to the booth or pull out your phone and start talking, and you do anything to disengage from that nonsense because this conversation is going nowhere. And you don't need to waste your time or validate stupid talking points from people who just stole them from somewhere else. Fucking talk to a wall. Probably get more out of that. So, yeah. Once again, lazy is the keyword. Rewatching Primate, William, do you like it a lot better? I did not see Primate in the theaters, so I couldn't answer that question.
I did. I enjoyed it.
Yeah, I saw it on. When did that come out?
That was like in January.
Oh, okay. No, I did not see it. I'm thinking of another movie. Does Deadpool work interacting with the Avengers, or should he exist solely in the metaverse? Briefly, I would be very careful of using Deadpool in anything that is MCU proper that was not derived from a Fox situation, simply because the tone and tenor of the character, kind of like what they're probably going to do with the Punisher. Punisher's going to be in the movie, but he's not going to be the feature of the movie. He's not going to be Frank that we know. He's going to be Frank that's suitable for Spider-Man. And Daredevil's of that vulgarity to where it's like, yeah, you got to be real careful because if you keep him around too long, you got to change him because you can't put that in front of a family audience. And once you start changing the character and fundamentally change the character, then it's you're doing something else. You may as well just create a new character. So I doubt that they'll have him interacting with Avengers for any significant length. I definitely think you're going to see him in these next two Avengers movies, but I don't think it's going to be to the point where he's featured. You'll see him. There's like a lot of people in the next two Avengers movies. They're going to be people that you're probably going to see for seconds. For seconds, just hey, oh wow, that was cool. I remember that. Okay, you just disappeared. Bam. You know, and I think I don't because I've not heard, and I may just be out of the loop. I have not heard if they're doing any other any more Deadpool movies. I don't know if he wants to do them, and I don't know if once we get this prime timeline or the sacred timeline, are we going to have offshoot things like Deadpool's universe? Because the whole point of the sacred timeline is to consolidate it so that there's only one. What's up?
Funny you should say that because I literally just saw that as you were talking on I guess like a convention appearance or something Ryan Reynolds was just recently at, where he was asked about that, exactly that. Ryan Reynolds confirms another Deadpool movie will happen. There's stuff upcoming. Eventually there will be another Deadpool. So I guess he doesn't, not want to do it.
Okay, so where are we? When would it be taking place too? I guess I should ask that, because I'm figuring if it's coming up, either his timeline is going to be one of the ones that are left behind that don't get pruned, which I can't believe, or they're basically going to they will put him in the MCU, but he ain't gonna be in the MCU. See what I mean? He'll be there. He'll be telling his stories, but you won't see him in like Reed Richards and Sue Richards, making vulgar jokes and doing stupid shit. He'll be in that universe. He'll adjacent to that universe, but I doubt you would see, because how are you going to put him in a Spider-Man movie? You're going to put that Deadpool in a Spider-Man movie? You would have to, and other than a cameo or maybe 5-10 minutes, but Deadpool's his own thing. It's R-rated for a reason. It's successful at being R-rated. I would not like to see them change that character to have to suit something else. I always thought that was going to be Ryan Reynolds' biggest sticking point, is in order to come over into the MCU, they're not going to go beyond PG-13. They're just not. They know where their money's at. So, and he's R. So it's going to be interesting to see. And I remember after the last one, it seemed like he was done. So they must have thrown some money at him. Because
they got the joke. They got the joke in there too. He's going to do this till he's 90 with Hugh Jackman. So,
and Hugh Jackman, I think, is done too. I think Hugh Jackman is done with the Prime Universe. I actually think they finally killed him off, and as well as all the Fox X-Men, because they're paving the way for something new. They're paving the way for something new, and Hugh Jackman will be 60 when these next role movies. Who's he? 58 right now.
Yeah.
And it's really hard for a 60-year-old man to keep that conditioning that he's in. It's hard for 50. It's hard for 45. And he's pretty active and healthy. And even he said, this keeping cut like this, it's torture. I said that in an Australian accent. But at some point, you're going to need a new Wolverine. It's just, you're not going to want to tell old man Wolverine stories forever. You're going to need, this generation of MCU fans needs its X-Men, So, and Wolverine's going to end up years down the line being a very important part. Now, I hope they do the canonical 5. I hope they do the original 5 and start the X-Men story from the beginning. But you know what? I probably end up going to see it no matter what they do. So as long as it's done well. I mean, I have my wish list, but my wish list don't mean shit. As long as it's done well. What's going on, Droga? So I got 2 houses in there. Donnie Darko. Donnie Darko is a trippy movie. You know what? Arrival's another one that's like that on that same level. A lot of people don't consider that time travel. It definitely is. I won't spoil it for you because it's one of Denny Villeneuve's, the only one he's been nominated for, by the way, which is bullshit. If I can recall, but no, it's one of his better movies, one of his best movies. It's soul sucking though. That movie is soul sucking. It is just like, you don't even know if you really want to continue watching it once you realize what the movie is and what it's about. You're like, fuck, can we have done something a little bit happier? I don't know. It really makes me chuckle when William says linear time, like wet water. But when for the science fiction fan, you really need to specify, because that's the only way, when you're talking in conversation. You're most of the time I'm not going to be talking to people who are, quantum physics people like that. We're talking to comic book geeks and science fiction movie geeks, and so you really need to be able to nail it down to a concept that we can all understand. Is a Star-Lord in a cave? See,
No,
that's
Dewey Riley in a cave, as I said.
Yeah, that's your trolling. But if I were to hear that, and if I were to hear somebody who wanted to be taken seriously and wanted to actually spend any of my time conversing with them, that's one of them things I will be like, "Hey, dude, I got to take this call."
I mean, again, that's why I made the comparison. He's Dewey Riley in a camper. I said also on social media, is like, I think Corn Sweat, with the material he's worked with so far, it's like I think he would have been a better Shazam than he would have been a Superman, because he just has
depends
more,
on which Shazam story.
He has more, but he has more. His Superman is very childlike, and it's like, oh, that fits right in with, like, I mean, Shazam is a kid who, like, says a word and turns into an adult with powers.
I haven't found any of the comparisons to Corn Sweat Superman valid. I found most of them to be lazy. He's not my favorite. I thought he was adequate.
And that's the other thing about it for me, is that I don't find him to be a powerful presence as the character. It's like he doesn't. I don't find that when he walks into a room that this is a guy, like, all eyes are on him, that he's got, like, the powerful presence of Superman. It's like that's what I find really lacking in his portrayal. But I don't know if I necessarily put that on him. I think it's like, oh, just the writing he's playing off of, like, the problem, Shazam feel to it.
I disagree.
Because again, it's like, because I mean his Superman, he's playing Superman as a klutz, basically. Like, his Superman is one of his Superman's.
Two of the best Supermans ever made. He's portrayed him as a klutz.
Yeah, and that was 50 years ago. Let's progress now.
That's a standard Superman.
And it was the standard for Superman 50 years ago, and we are no longer there.
Now, if I was writing a Superman story today and I was making Clark Kent his alter ego,
I would absolutely not make him a klutz. But
that would be your comic book. That's why there's different writers. That's why there's different perspectives. It doesn't have to be what you or me give a fuck about, because guess what? More people than you and me buy this shit.
And also, again, 50 years ago.
No, I'm talking now. I'm talking 2026. I'm talking 2026. I'd have no problem. I read these things on a daily basis. Then you should know that just
and
because
I do,
your version of Superman.
I know that he's not perpetually a klutz. He's not perpetually a doofus.
Your perception of him is yours. You pay your money for that perception. I don't have to buy into that. Nobody else does. It's like nobody has to buy into my perception of it. That's why we read these things individually. We don't mind meld on them. But no, I thought I can agree with you in the sense that I thought the environment that this Superman Corn Sweat was placed in was to the point where it decentralized the focus on Superman. Most Superman movies I've ever seen, the focus is almost solely on Superman. Even the stuff that Zack Snyder did. That's why I didn't never say, well, when we're going to get a Man of Steel 2, we didn't fucking need one. We had BVS. His story arc was Superman-centric. It does not exist or happen or have any real relevance without Superman. That includes any version of Justice League, but mainly Zack Snyder's Justice League. So that is a Superman-centric story. So for all of my life, I'm used to seeing whenever Superman is on the screen, that the story, even if he's not the most popular character, but the story revolves around him. And then James Gunn's Superman, there's just too many other elements for me. And I said that during my initial review, is that there are just too many things that he blends into as an environment that he should stand out against the Superman. But he made a decision to bring him in a world where there's already superheroes, and I got Hawkgirl and all this other shit, and that was a narrative decision that some people liked and some people didn't. Personally, I think there's a way to portray Superman no matter who's on the screen, and his presence is up there. He doesn't have to outshine everybody. It just has to be Superman for me. But that's just my opinion, because there's a reason why the fourth world characters like Darkseid and Steppenwolf, they stayed the fuck away from Earth for as long as they did. And it wasn't until the mother boxes signified that Superman was gone, and they said, okay, we can fucking take this place. I don't get that feeling from David Cornsweat's Superman.
Not
David
remotely.
as far as the presence goes, but I think that has a lot to do with making a safe movie. And herein lies the problem there. Whereas you and I believe that that's the kind of Superman presence, we got millions of people who wouldn't watch our movie 5 minutes, and we wouldn't watch theirs. Fair game, you know. The Suicide Squad is a Guardians ripoff.
I don't know if I call it a Guardians ripoff.
No.
Supergirl, 100%, but Suicide Squad.
And I don't even buy into that. But Suicide Squad was the one he released, and absolutely not. And see, that's what I mean. That's why I disengage when I hear that, because that's telling me that you're watching movies with a simplistic view. I don't need to talk to you. You can find another simpleton. And I'm not calling you a simpleton, man, but I'm just calling that basic premise of the conversation. There are plenty of simpletons where you can bounce that lazy shit off of each other, and you two can dance. I want to engage with you on a much deeper level than that, and if that's what people are throwing out, you're basically putting a post-it on your head saying, "Move on to the next person." I can't engage you. It's not worth my time. It's not worth my time. If that's all if that's the trick you're pulling out of your bag, if that's what you have to bring to a conversation, we're wasting each other's time. You should have spent more in building a better conversation, and I want to go find one. So yeah, I'm using the Guardians of the Galaxy trope as my line of delineation. I'm like, yeah.
Well, you know who else did with Supergirl? James Gunn and Craig Gillespie. They're on record making that comparison. That's not me pulling it out of my ass. That's them saying that.
And they're not the viewer. I'm the viewer. I'm not carrying on a conversation with James Gunn and Craig Gillespie.
But if they're saying
even without them saying it,
if they're saying this is our template, why is it unfair for me to invoke
that? They
that?
could have said none because you were going to fucking do it, whether they said
the hell I was.
They were doing it before. They were saying every movie that he does, oh, it's just Guardians of the Galaxy. Every movie that he does, oh, there's an animal in it. The same stupid fucking shit over and over and over again. It's like a fucking comedian that doesn't change his act. It's like, I heard that fucking you got up there on the stage last week and said that same damn joke. It wasn't funny then.
Rolling Stone.
It wasn't funny then.
That Supergirl is like Guardians of the Galaxy.
Hold on. You're bullshit.
These aren't my words.
That.
Those are his words.
They don't have to be your words. You were saying the same dumb
Supergirl
shit before they
especially is a
said
space adventure. It's like Guardians of the Galaxy.
You and everyone. Hold on, stop. You're not even right.
Quoting him.
Okay, why you were quoting him before you fucking said it? Okay, were you not saying this? Hold on, stop. Were you not saying this stupid shit before they said that?
No, I wasn't.
Yeah, I was hearing it. Dude, this show is on YouTube. This show is on YouTube. We can go back. Let's take you out of it because you're one person. You're one person. Who gives a fuck? Two, these guys that are saying this dumb shit, you're out of your fucking mind.
Which is
being,
validated.
Hold on, time out. You're being disingenuous pieces of shit. If you guys are saying that you weren't making these same bullshit assertions long before these guys got coded. And fucking listen, find another dummy to have that conversation with. That's all I'm saying. Find somebody who has that kind of imagination and talk to them. Have fun. But if you want to actually have a conversation that actually moves your brain cells, come up with something better. Because that same tired ass trope, it's lame. It's like
so it's lame pointing out the comparisons they themselves make. They themselves make.
Dude.
It's unimagined. They made it.
I'm not going to repeat myself. I've already told you why that was bullshit.
So the
I've
makers
already
of the
told
movie made a bullshit
because
comparison.
you're full of shit right now. Because if they hadn't made that comment, you would have still said what
the
you
hell
said.
I would have.
Yes, because you were before.
I was not. Give
Right.
me one example.
Bottom line.
One example where I did.
Dude,
one.
We have hundreds of hours.
One.
You were saying it was going to Dallas.
One time. Tell me one time.
So we're moving on.
We're
moving on. Full of shit, you guys.
One time.
If you want to engage me, be smarter.
One time.
If that's all you can do is, it's just like Guardians of the Galaxy, get the fuck off the channel. I would rather have 5 viewers than unoriginal bullshit like that.
One time.
Do better, be smarter, or go somewhere else.
One time.
All right. I'm old enough to remember when I thought Superman 1978 turning the world backwards was a stroke of genius. Well, because 1978 it was. Ryan said this week another Deadpool villain should happen.
Yeah, it's the one I
And
pulled
he's
up a
also
minute
been
ago.
saying that. He's also been saying a lot of stuff. I'm gonna bet that it doesn't happen. I'm gonna bet that it doesn't happen. Not seriously amount of money. I'm just gonna bet that it doesn't happen because as this universe progresses, I see less and less space for another Deadpool movie. And I don't see him giving up the kind of creative control that he would have to do to fit into a universe that his Deadpool was never really a part of. If it does happen, great. It's going to be interesting. I wouldn't hold my breath for another Deadpool movie. William, have people been pre-ordering Marvel's Midnight Universe? Not yet. I have, but I haven't had anybody coming in and saying, "Hey, I want that" yet. But every store is different. It's also eerie seeing Patrick Swayze and Donnie Darko for some reason. Why? William, Superman 2020 came out. Did a lot of people come to your store and ask for the comments that those movies are loosely based off of? Yeah, that happens with every comic book movie. And I had a display set up for people who wanted to engage in those stories. Superman for All Seasons, All Star Superman. For the most part, those are the two main ones that I feel that he derived those stories from. It wasn't much of a fan of Superman 2025, but I support overstuffing Man of Tomorrow with cameos to set up against DCU. Well, by the time you have to do it, then to me, it's tough. It's going to be tough to get that momentum. It's going to be tough.
It's getting legit to call it overstuffed with how much of an ensemble it's becoming.
I thought that this should have happened sooner. I thought that the first Superman movie didn't need to be as cluttered with all those people, but the second Superman movie, you wanted to start fleshing. Whatever movie that number 2 movie was, the Bat needed to be there. The Bat needed to be there, or Wonder Woman needed to be there. Whoever you went with first, those other two needed to come within 12 months. Within a year of having Superman 2025, we should have had the Bat or Wonder Woman, and we don't have it. So now we have to remedy that by possibly weighing down a movie with more shit than it could even might be good for the story. So tough one. Because Gunn doesn't write, man. He writes shows. That's an opinion. It's your money. William, in those comics, they use Superman 2025. Okay. William,
yeah, I agree wholeheartedly.
I can. If we were at my store, I would give you stacks of decades worth of Superman where he's goofy and stupid. Clark Kent. I want to say Clark Connor for some reason. Clark Kent was historically a klutz from 1952 to the mid 70s. They show him and they would make fun of him because they would compare him to General Ford, who was historically a klutz, chipping up the fucking Air Force One. Clark would throw papers up because his alter ego was supposed to be something that he wasn't. That's historically been Superman. Different people write up. Now, once again, guys, your perception and opinions of this are your own. They are not what these people were writing. You can't change how they wrote Clark Kent just because you didn't like it. That's up to you. But yeah, he was a cheeseball, and to the point where it was overkill. Batman went through the same process. More so Clark Kent, because Clark Kent was trying, at that point in his history, he was trying to hide an identity, and everything that he was like Cringer for He-Man. Cringer hides under the fucking table. Battlecat fucks you up. That's basically what the main difference was. He wasn't coordinated. He wasn't anything. He wasn't a ladies' man until they started writing him that way, to the point where Clark was a Mac now. So if you're going to say shit, understand the history of the character.
It's the difference between saying Clark Kent's a klutz and Superman is a klutz. They're two personas, and what I'm saying is the movie portrayed Superman as a klutz.
I don't know what movie you saw.
I saw the one that came out last year.
That is your opinion of it. That is.
It's based on the movie I saw.
Okay, that's based on Brad's opinion. Say that. That's fine. But no, that has historically been. That's factual. That's not even something I need to back up with an opinion. That's factual.
He's Superman. Yeah, exactly.
What are you talking about?
He's saying what I'm saying is the
okay, but both
Clark is a klutz and Superman's a klutz.
I got you, and I got
really like a lot of delineation between the two of them.
Well,
by the way, going back a minute ago again, because I'm going to put this out right now. Okay, I want everybody in the chat, everybody watching tonight, go back through the show, go through my social media. If
Yeah.
you can find one example pre-release of me saying that Superman or Supergirl was going to be based, or the template was Guardians of the Galaxy, show it to me
No,
right
you
now.
were saying no.
Show it to
That's
me
not what I
right now
said.
if you can find
I
that.
said when you whenever you're talking about James Gunn movies, we bring up Guardians of the Galaxies. We're
Yeah,
prior
because
to him did.
is that not his
And
main
that
claim to
is
fame?
some weak shit. All right, so I'm going to move on from Troll.
So
1000.
if you can find one example of me doing that,
William, are you
right
looking
here.
forward most at San Diego Comic-Con? I'm looking a lot. I'm looking forward to Blade Runner 2099 reveal. I'm looking forward to seeing what Lanterns is all about. Hopefully, it'll give us a little bit of insight on Friday. I'm looking forward to be honest with you, being around my trauma people. I really, this is the one time a year that some of the people I see from the West Coast I get to get together with and see. And since we're, a lot of people are coming to the trauma booth, a lot of people are coming. I'm going to be filming the trauma panel on Saturday night. I get to see some of my favorite people, and just getting out and meeting new people, having better conversations, like unlike some of the ones that we have on YouTube, with the lazy James Gunn shows. Just getting out and being amongst geeks. But for as far as event wise, it's going to be Lanterns. It's going to be Blade Runner, and then whatever they do at Hall H. I mean, I think with 2 movies coming out this year, Marvel is going to go all out as far as pushing the button. I wish DC was there doing the same. We've already had that conversation. I don't agree with their moves, but you know what? I'm going to let them do them. And but yeah, that's basically it. Just being in the culture of geekdom for 4.5 days is what I'm looking forward to. But those specific events.
Oh yes.
Zach had many Easter eggs and cameos.
Oh yeah,
he movie still were to I
did a list of like a bunch of them when I was at Screener.
Well, Captain Adam. A lot of people were like, "Who the fuck?"
Well, there was one when he's in the final fight with Zod and Man of Steel, when like Superman's flying down, Zod's flying up. You could see in the background in the skyline there's a building that has a sign for Blaze Comics, and that's I believe that's a Booster Gold Easter egg.
Okay, so yeah, there you go. Went on my head. You drop Booster Gold, Booster Gold or Blue Beetle Easter eggs. I'll miss them. I'll miss every one of them.
Well, I don't think that was one that he was like really gung ho about. But again, there were some other ones like, I mean, these are bigger ones like the LexCorp sign or the Wayne Enterprises. I mean, those are ones he did actively.
Well, yeah, and they were
build
part
upon.
of the story.
I'm trying to think what are some. I mean, like there was one he's never been asked about this to my knowledge, but there's one that I always really kind of you kind of sink my teeth into with BVS. It's when it's at the function that Lex is hosting when Clark is interviewing Bruce and they shake hands and Clark Daily Planet and Bruce says Daily Planet, do I own this one? There's that the other guy, and I always took that as like a nod to Green Arrow. I thought, the other billionaire DC hero. It's like, oh, and if you know anything about Green Arrow's history, he was basically Batman, meets Robin Hood. So I always took that as like a little nod to Green Arrow. Film Junkie, I remember he said he thought that might have been more like Ted Kord, but yeah, that was always my reading of that. That was maybe like a little bit of Oliver Queen nod there.
All right, I'm glad you brought this up. I'm glad you brought this up, and I'm going to explain to you why this is kind of fucked up. You're wrong. He got the job because of Guardians of the Galaxy to produce something similar. Now, remember what I said, that if you're just going to bring the same stupid, shitty tropes to a conversation, just move on to someone else? I wouldn't fucking have a conversation with David Zaslav about comic book things because he doesn't know shit. I would immediately fucking leave that conversation. As soon as David Zaslav sat down and started talking about that, I would know instantly and fucking immediately that he had no fucking knowledge about what the fuck he was talking about, and I need to go to the bathroom. I need to start throwing up. I need to find whatever I fucking need to do to get away from that man because he doesn't know shit and this conversation is going nowhere. David Zaslav is the perfect example of who I just will move on. And I'll do it politely. I won't say, hey, you're a fucking idiot, because I might not believe you're a fucking idiot. I might believe that the conversation piece that you're coming in with is kind of worthless, but I'm not gonna be like, hey, you know what, you're a piece of shit. No, I'm gonna be like, hey, well, fuck, dude, I think I left something somewhere up.
Yeah,
you know
but
what?
he's the guy doing the hiring, and it's like, I think we can.
But
agree.
that doesn't matter. That's because he's a CEO.
Like, he doesn't think any deeper. We agree, he doesn't think any deeper. Like, oh, Gunn did Guardians, that was a big hit. Let's get him on board.
Okay, but my example is that was fucking stupid too. There are plenty of other reasons.
Oh, I agree, but that
hold
doesn't change what happened.
There are plenty of other reasons. Just because somebody made a stupid fucking decision that turned out right, or we don't even, in fact, know what timeout. I'm sorry. That may turn out right eventually, because we still have to go see how this goes. Because right now, I don't know. But doesn't mean that he did it on anything that made him knowledgeable about jack shit. And if he sat down and said, "Hey, William, I want to talk about comic book movies and what do you think of Guardians of the Galaxy?" I would give it about maybe less than 30 seconds before I'd be like, "You don't know what the fuck you're talking about. Go talk to there's a drunk over there at the end of the bar. You are probably going to have a more balanced and coherent conversation as far as what you know about what you're talking about than you're ever going to have with me. Get the fuck out of my face, because you really don't know what you're talking about." So, yeah, David Zaslav is qualified at making money, pimple popper, all kinds of shit. But even he knew, he just do the basic knowledge. And unfortunately for James Gunn, and I hate to say this, because I do respect James Gunn. If somebody else of equal or higher name would have fallen off of the Disney Marvel tree, that guy was getting hired for the DCU if they said yes. If somebody else, I'm just going to throw a name out there, and this would never happen because
it already did happen. It was Joss Whedon, and look how that went.
I'm talking about somebody who doesn't have the baggage.
We didn't have the baggage at the time.
But Zaslav wasn't in charge. I'm talking about Zaslav. I'm talking about when Zaslav was in charge. If somebody of a Jon Favreau ilk or somebody on that level had disengaged or been fired or whatever from Marvel Studios, that was the guy who was going to get propositioned for the DC job. And that sucks, because even though I think James Gunn has stumbled a little bit, I still think ultimately he would, if he'd have made better decisions at the beginning, he was the right guy for the job. He understood that type of storytelling. But because David Zaslav didn't know what the fuck he was doing, anybody who fell from that tree, he was going to be like a squirrel, and he was going to run and grab that person, and he was going to offer him the job. And if that person would have said yes, then that person's the head of DCU. Probably without Safran, because James Gunn made that his condition as far as taking the job, because he said no originally. So if James Gunn never gets fired from Marvel for the tweets, and it's somebody else who's made available, either by them quitting or by them getting fired, anything, and David Zaslav is there, as soon as David Zaslav was to hear that, because that's all he knew. He only knew names and only knew names out of town. He didn't know what story. He didn't know what shit. Fucking Rocket Raccoon could spin on top of his fucking forehead, and he wouldn't know the difference between one and the other. But you worked for Marvel and Marvel and the Marvel Studios and Disney, you're available. That's why he got the job, and that sucks. That's not why James Gunn should have been hired, but that's why he was hired, because the guy who hired him only had a basic surface knowledge about shit. That's it. Because that's not what he was good at. It's not how he became a billionaire. Credit to Zaslav is he knew what he didn't know, but don't get it confused that, that it was necessary Guardians of the Galaxy. If James Gunn wasn't available, that conversation never happens. If it's anybody, you can draw up a list from any of the people that hell, Kevin Feige, contract's up, I quit. Bam, he's done. He's got him. Zaslav rolls up the yacht and has him landed on the helipad in the helicopter. So Guardians of the Galaxy was convenient because that guy was available. But any person that was available, that was who was getting hired. And that sucks, because that tells you how much thought process that was put into this whole universe at this point.
And by the way, did you get that thing I sent you the other day where about Zaslav selling off some stock? Like a lot of stock?
Yeah, 59 million.
Yeah, which is a lot of stock. So I don't know what that says about like the, it tells me he's not sticking around post merger.
I think he's getting out pre-merger. I think this merger is going to take a lot. Hey, listen, guys, if you want to win your bet and say this merger is going to happen, fine. The emasculated, malnourished corpse that makes it past the finish line with all these delays and the 700 million a month or whatever the fuck that is, it's just
it's 7 million, like or
7 million.
It's like if they don't get it closed by like September 10th, I think it was. I read that. Then it's like, okay, then that's what it costs them per week, per month, something like that. Probably per week.
Yeah, now you do the math on that one. And for a company, you're already hemorrhaging. You're already entering. You're taking two.
Is that your phone or mine doing that pinging noise?
That's mine.
Okay.
Um, hold on for a second. But yeah, I listen. I would love to sit here and say, Mighty Rex, that David Zassoff was like, you know what? I really enjoyed the gist of. I mean, when I watched this movie, I was like, wow, James Gunn really, I think this would be the guy. No, it wasn't that way. You used to work for Marvel. You worked on this. I know that movie. Here you go. I probably didn't even. I would make a good wager that David Zassoff never saw Guardians of the Galaxy. Any of them. But you don't have to seem to know about that. So
I don't know
it's
if
not like
has he seen any CBMs like
yeah,
DC or
yeah,
Marvel?
exactly. So it's not like he was like, you know what, when that raccoon was I really felt that. No. So I can't, I can't make that connection, and that's what I mean. If I'm tired of that trope. Come up with something new. Zazoff didn't do it, and hell, who knows how the fuck that's going to end. But the whole, that's Guardians of the Galaxy, and I'm like, what the fuck are you watching? And that's okay. That's okay. If that's your opinion. I'm not saying you're stupid or anybody's stupid from having that opinion. I'm just tired of that conversation because I think it's disingenuous and I think it's lazy. And I think it's not the kind of thought process I want to have when I'm talking to a fellow geek. All right. You can have that opinion. You believe that every time you see a James Gunn movie, you see Rocket, that's fine. That is 100%. That is your perception of that movie, and that is solely on you. That is yours to have. I just find it a waste of time to converse with you because I don't think that you went into any of these movies with any deep thought of anything. You saw a fluffy animal like Guardians, and I'm like, I can't do it. I can't do it anymore.
And now to offer the counter to that, it's the other side of that equation.
We have limited breaths on this planet. I don't want to waste them on that. Sorry.
And now the other side of that coin, when the creators themselves invoke it's fair game.
Not necessarily.
Or me too.
No, because guess what? When me and you are having a conversation, I'm not fucking talking to James Gunn. I'm talking. Listen, guys. When I'm having a one-on-one or we're in a group conversation, what somebody fucking said outside of that conversation doesn't mean shit to me. I would be talking to you.
If they say their template for this is Supergirl, or for Supergirl is Guardians, I think, that looked like Guardians to me. It's like, it's unfair for me to make that comparison.
Hold on. What you see in a movie is what you see in a movie. I'm tired. I'm fucking tired of people thinking that just because somebody else said something, that's your fucking guideline to say something else. Listen.
But you have the creators of brain. The movie in this case.
Care. Guess what? You know how many movies have been around where a creator said some shit, and when I spent my hard-earned money on it and I saw something else, guess what the prevailing perception? Guess when I talk to another moviegoer, you think I want to sit down with somebody who I want to hear you quote somebody else? Why the fuck am I talking to you if that's all you? If that's all I can talk to a dog. I can literally see if I can talk to a dog. Hold on, I'll be right back because I got to answer this call.
Well, again. Countering all of that, guys, these guys made the comparison to Guardians, not me. The people making Supergirl made that point. I went and saw it, said, yeah, that's pretty spot on. I don't see how that's unfair. Let me see what else you guys got here. Oh, by the way, real quick, Aaron's here too. For those of you, I'd mentioned on here that Little Movie Perp and I and Aaron were going to do a watch party of Mortal Kombat 2 and stop it. And so we were going to do that tonight. We decided to postpone it. I want to give a little bit more runway to kind of prep and do a few other things for that. So we're going to do it same time next Sunday. So it'll be 8 p.m. Eastern. So if you guys want to join us for that, that'll be Sunday, July 26th. Which, by the way, is my nephew's birthday, actually. His birthday party. Well, I think we'll probably be doing that sometime like a Saturday or something. But yeah, that's when we'll be doing that. And if you want to drop in for that, join us, guys.
Yeah, but listen, guys.
I want to have a little bit more runway for that, so that's why we decided to postpone it. And I had a couple of I had a little bit of unexpected stuff I was dealing with today that kind of slowed me down on getting that. And I think there was also a bit of miscommunication between Perp and I, because William, you said we could do it on the channel here, right?
Yeah, I just want to be
Yes,
there.
yes. So I think he and I hadn't quite pinned down whose channel we were going to do it on, but I think we're going to do it here. So yeah, join us in a week, guys, for that, for the Mortal Kombat 2, The Furious, 8 p.m. Eastern
I'll
time.
tune in for maybe the second half.
It's a great way to end Comic-Con weekend. And by the way, actually, we're going to, I'm sure, have like a wrap-up show like after Comic-Con.
Yeah, I was telling them that. Yeah, it might be from Comic-Con depending on how long that stay.
When you fly back?
I am flying back Sunday night at like 10.
Oh, see that night.
Yeah. I was gonna stay an extra day, but last year I took the same flight last year, and I got everything done. Plus, last year, it's hour and 15 minutes. I am studying last year's Comic-Con to make sure that I don't. I did not feel good after. I did not have that boost, and I think I talked about it on this show. Last year's.
You didn't have a bed that fell apart under you, if nothing else.
Yeah, but it was one of the most disorganized Comic-Cons.
I think it was.
For Comic-Con?
Yeah. I mean, it seemed pretty streamlined. I mean, I'm on your side of the country, but
yeah, when you see things, yeah, but when you're there, when you're in these lines, when you're at these, everything that I wanted
you're talking about like on the ground.
Yeah, on the ground. Everything that I wanted to cover last year that I was excited to cover, Alien Earth was totally disorganized. Badlands was totally disorganized.
Okay. So you were talking about like from like the Comic-Con. Okay, I see. So,
yeah, it's just like I just felt I couldn't get into anything. I just felt like you did all this work to get inside of Comic-Con, and you're like an outsider. Everybody, and I wasn't alone. I was running into people that was like, dude, these are people who didn't get sponsored and that paid their way in, and they're like, we paid all this money to get in here. We can't get to anything. We can't get any autographs. We can't get any of the activations. Everything was so organized. So yeah, I'm hoping this year will be better, but I also have a strategy. So
I misinterpreted that. You say it made it sound like the Sci-Fi Center didn't organize Comic-Con with years.
No, it's just that all my it was just this year I got a better plan. And listen, I'm gonna try to get into some of this shit. I'm gonna try to get autographs, stuff like that. But what I'm not gonna do this year is if it looks like it's not gonna happen, I'm not gonna hang around. I'm not gonna wait in too many lines. I'm gonna find something else. I am going to off the fly be like, hey, you know what? I wanted to cover this. Like I tried to get into that Lanterns headquarters thing. We're still trying to get a press pass into that, but that was bots eating up every spot, so that was fucking lame. But I'm going to try to get into that, but I'm not going to wait. If I can't get in, I'm going to move on to something else. And I say this every year. Your most important and most valuable commodity when it comes to Comic-Con, your most valuable currency is time. And it's important. Last year, I wasted a lot of time trying to get some stuff that I promised to say, hey, we're definitely going to cover this, we're definitely going to cover that. And I really felt obligated to like, we're here with this cool ass shit. I want to film this and shit. Couldn't get in. I wasted too much time. And by the end of Comic-Con, I felt unfulfilled. And whenever I leave a con or wherever I leave something, an event like that, it boisters you for the rest of the year. It didn't do that. 2025 sucked. And coming off of 2024, which was the best San Diego Comic-Con I've ever been to,
Downey with the mask.
Yeah, it was just a different, and that was a Comic-Con that almost killed me. And I say Comic-Con where I almost fell to a bed and impaled the person sleeping below me. That was the most fun I've ever had at a Comic-Con. I say that going, 39 hours of no sleep and unhealthy amounts of caffeine in the blood. I say that as that all that going through me. And I say 2024 was the best Comic-Con I've ever been to. And I've been through a lot. I've been going to that Comic-Con forever. So to wrap up this conversation, listen, clarification. If you believe that everything James Gunn it does is Guardians of the Galaxy, that's an opinion. You have every right to have it. I run out of energy to engage you. I just think it's lazy. I think it's ingenuous. You're not a dummy for having that conversation. I just can't have it with you. I just can't have it with you anymore. I need more out of my conversations, and that's just not it. Sorry. Corn Sweat Superman was sent to take over Earth. You know what? I think you need. Yeah, I know what we saw in the movie, and I know what we saw in
Supergirl also reinforced that too.
Yeah, I think that there's a little bit more detail. I think he should have added it because it made them seem like Boris and Natasha. Hey, son, go fuck everybody. I think the writing should have been a little bit deeper, and I think that in Man of Tomorrow, it's a fucking year from now, though.
I think on the
basically all they were saying is, "Hey, our race is dead, son. You're our last hope for anything population. So go fuck your race out."
That's why. I mean, kind of my reading of that. I know William's going to hate this comparison, although even Gunn, I think, it is Smallville because they did this alliance on Smallville where he gets the message from his father, and it was the message was like rule them with strength, and he interprets that as I was sent here to conquer Earth, and he finds out later on in the season it's like it was rule them with strength, but not like enslave them.
Yeah, I think there's an interpretation, but we just don't have enough time because
I think also the way because he presented in the movie, it's a recording from them, and and it has to be translated from Kryptonian. I think he was also giving himself a little bit of wiggle room there, where it's like, okay, I think he was maybe testing the waters of the reaction to that a little bit, because that's something he could easily retcon if he wanted to, saying, oh, did we, Lex screwed up the translation, or maybe Lex is just bullshitting everybody with the translation.
Or they weren't meaning like that. They were like, hey, spread your seed, son. You're it. Because they didn't know about Kara. They didn't know about her.
Yeah.
So they're thinking they're sending the last hope for Krypton to ever. And we have to look at, even what Zack Snyder did with the Krypton. Shit, Jor-El was the only thing on that planet, but that wasn't a piece of shit. Everybody, they fucked that planet up so bad, and they didn't listen to anybody. And even when Cavill Superman said Krypton had its chance, and even in the comics, Kryptonians aren't necessarily their cold, callous type people. Even in Absolute Superman,
they're really awful.
They just I'm not going to say an entire planet deserves to die, but if there is a planet that deserves to die, it's those assholes.
Yeah, it's not. If you ever read Absolute Superman, it does not portray Krypton in the most favorable light. And there's Superman is this is why I've loved Absolute Superman so much. It portrays him as kind of like and this is kind of how he started out too with Siegel and Schuster. He was kind of like a social crusader. He's trying to lift up the downtrodden.
But he didn't have it. I get what you're saying. He has a chip on his shoulder.
Yeah, he has a motivation for that. In Absolute that harkens back to stuff he saw, because he didn't arrive to Earth as an infant in Absolute.
He was like Kara and Supergirl. He watched this Earth.
He saw stuff go south on Krypton. He's like, oh, I'm seeing the same thing happening on Earth. He's trying to.
You got your people who are stupid. You won't listen. I supported
Absolute.
guns. Now, part of my show on Saturday, and we'll have to wait till we get back from Comic-Con, is how, if anybody gives a fuck, because I'm a YouTube nobody.
Right? Talking about this Saturday, right?
No, probably because this Saturday's going to be packed, dude. The following Saturday when I come back, I have how I would have engineered James Gunn's initial beginning of this universe. I think that, and how I think he could still kind of do this, but I think the route he's going is taking, there's too many gaps in between. There's nothing to go on. I don't believe that there should have been, and I disagree. Here's another thing. The same thing where I'm getting tired of, it's a fluffy animal. It's got to be Guardians of the Galaxy. As equally as I'm tired of that, I'm tired of the people like, we should just blow everything up. We don't need to salvage anything. Let's blow everything up. Because saying stupid shit like that is something we fans can do. Doing stupid shit like that has ramifications that we're feeling now. And it affects the quality and it affects the credibility of what you're doing. There's a way that when you made the announcement that we're going, we all these other people said no. Oh, James Gunn said yes second time around. Okay, cool. The moment there needed to be a game like Doctor Strangelove where they're sitting around that table, when the bombs are dropping, there needed to be a situation where everybody involved is sitting down, mapping out years. And there should not have been a rush because they were so desperate to get something that was going to make money as soon as possible. They ended up spending, if you look at what they spent on these movies versus what both of the box office, it's a break-even scenario at this point.
You're talking about Superman, Supergirl?
Yeah, if you look at what was spent, what was spent on this movie, it's just above, but it's not enough to be like, wow, let's buy another yacht.
Well, also, you had the Superman, do 600 and Supergirl. I think I topped that in like 120. So they kind of cancel each other out.
Yeah. So I think that if you were going to make the decision to release these roadkill movies, and I call them roadkill movies because you're just releasing them.
That's how they treated them. It's roadkill.
I really think that you really should have stopped. I really think you should have stopped. I think The Flash should have been the last movie. Here's what I would have done. And I've gone over this before, but I'm going to go through it in a little bit more detail. And I'm going to have visual aids because I think better with visual aids. If you didn't want to continue the Snyderverse, that's fine. That's fine. what you should have done is use those Left 4 Dead movies. That should have been your Kingdom Come. I don't know if James Gunn is trying to do a Kingdom Come down the line. I don't care because it's so far down the line, it wouldn't have mattered in 2023. I think you could have, and you want to, whatever you want to say about The Rock, the only reason that movie made any money because The Rock was in it, all right? So I would have taken up Kingdom Come. Don't do it one for one. I'm taking up Kingdom Come. And my mission here as DC Studios head is to end this universe, to end the DCU, to blow it up, and out of its fragmentations, we make our new universe. Especially when he was on the right track, it was kind of stupid the way it turned out. But the whole George Clooney thing, he was on the right track, except there should have been more Bruce Wayne's getting out of the car. And like I was joking with you before, it could have been anybody until the one comes out that is going to be the one. And I also think before he opened his mouth about anything, that there should have been a Batman cast. And if that means taking a little bit of time before you start blowing up other things, take that time because the Bat is important. So James Gunn already had his hands in the mix. He had his hands at the end of that movie. So, okay, that's fine, right? But George Clooney comes out, okay, Flash says, oh, I fucked this up. Got to go back. Keep going back. And I'm like, you can be funny. But you can have Steve Harvey come out. I mean, anybody you want, right? Just make a joke out of it. But that last person is your Batman in your DCU. And here's what I would have done. And I'll go into more detail on this when I get back in Comic-Con. Is I have Barry say, oh, fuck that. I don't recognize that guy either. He goes back to try to change things and he disappears. Something happens with him to where the things that bound those universes, it no longer allows him to go back. But what I would have done is I would have done that as he's trying to solve Kingdom Come. Because if you remember Kingdom Come, it all goes to hell. Okay, it's not a happy ending. And I would have attached that story with an older Justice League group of that Barry. And you know how you had that Chrono Ball, which was totally ill-conceived.
It's awesome.
I understand. It was lame, but you had a Chrono Ball there, right? So even though it was poorly executed, one of those spears in the Chrono Ball is the Kingdom Come universe. And as all these universes are consolidating, the last thing you see is Barry basically running into the Speed Force and dissipating into other universes. One of them's the DCU. And then you tell that story of how the Cavill, all those guys, how that universe ended. And that bomb that they drop in Kingdom Come, that's a bomb that causes a fraction in their universe, and that universe dies. That universe dies, and out of that universe, you have the DCU. You have the DCU because that would have bridged this gap we have now in between these movies. We have a year gap in between Supergirl, a bomb, or if you want to consider it a bomb, I don't really like using that term. It just wasn't.
It didn't meet money.
It didn't meet expectations. So we have that. We got to sit on that for a year. If you would have opened up this universe before you have your Superman out there, we've had a completion to a story that ends one universe, and then a year later, we got another one coming up. And I also, if I'm him, I would keep Darkseid. I would keep the Darkseid that Zach got, because there's only one Darkseid. I would have kept Darkseid, and because Darkseid exists outside of the multiverse. So that is probably your biggest threat. Darkseid would still be the biggest threat. Darkseid's going to be a threat in DCU because it's going to be in Mr. Miracle. So I would have used those movies. I would have made Flash the last movie, but I would have had things happening. I would have had the Spectre. I would have introduced the Spectre. And if you read Kingdom Come, the Spectre comes in because the Spectre can see all this. And I would have post-credit scenes with the Spectre and the old guy, the everyman, just letting him know this is all going to go away. But what my mission is I'm saying there's nothing that can save the DCU. It's going to dissipate. It's going to go. But the most important thing is that the universe, whatever is born from this universe, learns to not do what this universe did. We can't save this universe, but we can make sure that this new one doesn't repeat the same thing. And I think you could have found some way, and James Gunn would have probably been able to articulate it better, or screenwriters to actually make it better sense. I mean, I don't have my visual aids in front of me. Something along the roads where you just didn't waste a lot of money putting out 4 Left 4 Dead movies, and you came into your situation with momentum, and just and you could have used what I would have done is at the end of the Flash, when Barry when Ezra disappears forever, I would have had a new Flash coming this way. So one Flash ended up being successful because that's what Barry's role would have been, is to let every Flash know that we all have to go back to a certain point because all these universes lead to doom and ruin. But the Flash that emerged would have been, you don't even have to show his face. He would have been the DCU Flash, and he runs and arrives on a universe that is built. Have him speeding through Gotham. Don't even have to show Batman full up if you don't want to. You should have him speeding through Metropolis. Have him speeding through this whole universe that has all these heroes in it now, and that's your DCU. So if you were watching the DCEU, you've been strung along productively into something new instead of what they did before. It kind of sucks. I don't think merger goes through, but I do see Netflix stepping in by WW Fitness and that's very much could happen. All right, guys, we've been on the air for 1:30, so I'm about to wrap this up. David Zaslav just saw green in his viewpoint. Yeah, he did. He saw green. He did, but he didn't. I think it's not as much green as he saw a name that was attached to Disney and Marvel. I'll have to admit, I never believed James Gunn from the start as DCU should have. Supergirl is nothing like Guardians. That's my opinion. Dark Knight. Guardians is actually good, but Supergirl is better than Superman, but it's not a good movie. I think that Supergirl is a mid movie. It's not the worst movie in the world, but it's not good either. And that's not for your number 2 movie. That's not where you want to be. When's the watch party for Scary Movie? The new Scary Movie? You got to get with Brad on that one. That's his favorite. It's spot on to me. It's just my opinion. It shouldn't affect anyone else's. Yeah, it's your opinion. I can't do it anymore. I can't engage in the conversation because I just don't think it comes from a place that really furthers any conversation. Task Force X had a weasel, Peacemaker has an eagle, crypto, heavily used in marketing. Yeah, but crypto's been around and part of Superman lore longer than any of those characters have been around combined. I mean, crypto is literally in the 50s. And even without Guardians of the Galaxy, if you have a dog, if you have an animal, people love animals. That's easy marketing. I don't even have to have Guardians of the Galaxy to have that marketing. If you see a substitute rocket in every project, then you're going to see that. I just can't go any further with you on this one because I don't see this. I don't understand where you guys are coming from in this, and I don't think I think that is a trope that has been worked in, and I just don't go for it. I'm sorry, I just don't see any. What level can we take that conversation to? Nowhere. That's a road to nowhere. As far as Superman, I had some enjoyment of Superman. Supergirl just wasn't a good movie. I think she was good in it. But who knows? Maybe we'll see her again, and it'll be a different. I guess when a lot of people agree a movie looks like Guardians, no, it doesn't, or doesn't legitimize or delegitimize it. It's your opinion. I giving you my opinion. I think that's just something that got rolling. It's like a game of telephone. I don't think it's an original opinion, in my opinion, just me. And and it's just I'm tired of hearing it because I watched these. I've seen every one of these movies, and I just think it's a cop out. I just think it's an automatic built-in cop out to undercut. If you don't like the guy's movies, that's cool. That's an opinion as well. But there's so many reasons why you could tear up a James Gunn movie. And all I'm saying is take a little bit more time and use some of those imaginative reasons, and or talk to somebody who bounces that up. I can't do it anymore. To be honest, Gunn's story for Superman would have worked better in Zack DCU and Gunn's. that's not an untrue statement, to be honest with you. I actually would have loved to have seen them get together because I think Gunn is a better writer as far as sewing a story together. He doesn't always have the best screenwriters, as I've seen in Supergirl, but I think them working together would be something I would love to see. And I think the Krypton, just judging from the tone of the Krypton, because one of my favorite things about Man of Steel was Krypton and the Kryptonians and the alienness of Superman. Yeah, he's blending in, he's with us, but the alien nature, they made you feel like this was an alien. Yeah, he looks like human, he's living in Kansas, but Zack Snyder made Superman feel like an alien. And I think that James Gunn made him feel like a comic book character. Yes, he is a comic book character. We know that because we're in the fourth dimension. It's just, I mean,
one of my things about Supergirl is like the design of Krypton. It didn't feel very alien to me. It didn't feel,
it felt like Reno or something. It felt like somewhere.
With the one caveat I will give that is I did like that all the Kryptons on Kryptonian we've seen so far. It has them subtitled speaking Kryptonian. It's like, okay, that's a good touch. I do like that. But,
I still believe that DC
it does make them feel alien, or makes them closer to alien than what they've been portrayed.
Yeah, I agree with this. I agree with him directing Superman to get it going off the ground and to set the tone, but I didn't agree with him doing other ones. I'm just throwing things out there just to make it memorable. But I would have used that if you were going to tamper with that movie, and they did. Okay, be productive about it. At the end of Aquaman, have a post-credit scene to where the Spectre is looking over Atlantis and saying, "This fucking world's doomed. There's nothing we can do for these people," and then have it revisited later. The very next, I think we missed a boat. I think we missed out on a lot of money not having a Kingdom Come movie. And as much people didn't pay attention, and they're like, "Well, The Rock just wanted to take over." The bottom line is this, guys. I'll be straight fucking honest with you. I wanted to see that Black Adam fight that Superman. I had no problems with where this was hitting him, and I don't give a fuck how he got there. But okay, now let's lose our imagination.
Hey, Bill.
All right, so we have Superman at some point, just like in Kingdom Come, thinking, you know what? We have a new generation of superheroes. The Rock is brought forth instead of having Magog, have The Rock replace him. The Rock is brought forth a new level of super. Because remember what his mentality was at the end of Black Adam. All right, so there was already a conflict there anyway, and over the years, Black Adam has replaced the superhero infrastructure. The superheroes that we knew and we got attached to, they got driven away because they were seen as they were pussies. And, The Rock is like, fuck it, I'll kill him. And the society changed with him, just like it did in Kingdom Come. The reason why Superman went into exile and everybody else went on their own way is because society embraced the newer, younger edge superheroes that had ultimate and fatal consequences, and they thought that's what they wanted. So The Rock, his people, the people he gets together, those are those people. And we have Lex Luthor, we have all the same characters doing their same evil shit. But long story short is I get my battle with Black Adam and an older Cavill Superman. And since Shazam in the original Kingdom Come is fighting Superman, that's his equal. I have him fighting Sasha Calle's Supergirl. So I still have a Kryptonian versus him. And remember, in the Shazam movies, and they never went back to this, or enough that they should, is Mr. Mind. Remember the worm? If you read Kingdom Come, there's a worm it's like Mr. Mind's, engineered like his mind control. And that's how Lex Luthor gets control of Billy Batson and makes him evil. And we already were introduced to him in the Shazam movie. So use that. So we're fighting an evil Shazam. So have Shazam fighting, have this big war going on. And mankind is like, you know what? Fuck these superheroes. We got to kill them all. But they end up creating something that ends up not just destroying the superheroes, but risk destroying their world. And now in the backdrop leading into this, I would have taken Blue Beetle. I would have taken. It's useless as I think the character Blue Beetle is.
You know he's going to be a Man of Tomorrow.
We knew from the beginning, right? Remember, he said that was one of the characters that was going to carry over. So, and even then, I said this take Blue Beetle And instead of the old man that's in Kingdom Come, have the Spectre taking Blue Beetle and said, "You're going to cross over this world. I need you to show these people. I need you to be the human avatar. You may not be the most powerful thing in the world. You may not be the Kryptonian. You may not be, the Shazam. You may not be the Wonder Woman, the Amazon, but you're somebody who you're here to bear witness. So I'm taking out Blue Beetle, and he's watching all of this just blow up. And then get the Flash, whatever version you want to use it, and the Flash says, I need you to get him out of here. I need you to get him to where he needs to be. And that's the last thing that Flash does. And that universe blows up. And Blue Beetle's whole point is, I come from a world that is now yours. Is this who you and you write the story to whereas this DCU is going to do the same thing. They're going to have a Magog, or they're going to have a Black Adam, they're going to have a coastal personality, and that's the whole point of the DCU is to prevent what happened to that world. That way you don't have 4 movies that just literally just left on like roadkill. You don't move around. Aquaman should not have been the last movie. The guy who could mess up time and make extra dimensions and make different, that should have been your last movie. And if you weren't going to do that, why did you release those movies? And as James Gunn, why are you involved in those movies if you're not going to use them to engineer something that you're doing? But I think they did the exact opposite. They said, we got to get in here. We got to blow this shit up. We got to blow everything up. We got to start over to again. They did that fanboy thinking. And then I'm like, okay, once again, fanboys can say shit like that. And what, they log off or they lose a view or a click. You're a studio head. If you do stuff like that, it has reverberating consequences. And I think a lot of what we're having to deal with right now is that no matter what you think of James Gunn and company, they came in on a crumbling credibility, on a lot of wasted time. I think they could have engineered themselves into something that was at least relatable to the audience that they did have, and take the best elements. Yeah, you don't have to have Harley Quinn or any of the other mid shit that you guys did during that 5 years. You give me the big hitters. You give me the Jaws, and you go out with a bang. Completion of one, creation of another. I don't know why. And that's stupid. We're here now in a sea of mediocrity because of that. Rebooting, it's an easy word to say, but when you try to enact it, this is where we're at now. For all intents and purposes, even though there was some carryover, not of the main characters. The main characters are being relaunched. Who gives a fuck about if Peacemaker comes over from the other universe or Blue Beetle? They aren't Batman. They aren't Wonder Woman. They aren't Superman. So in a sense, he did, and look where we're at. Yeah, I mean, he was all over these movies. I'm like, okay, you had your hands in the cookie dough. Why not make a good cookie? I mean, I don't understand what. Okay, so you're gonna bankrupt the studio, so I'm gonna let that one go there. Yeah, but why? That's not going to move the needle. He didn't move the needle in his own movie.
And I think also it's like one. This is just my theory on how that's going to be facilitated because I seeing Blue Beetle, I wasn't able to like relate it to anything at all with like BVS or Wonder Woman or any of those characters. So I think it's pretty easy to just like pull a retcon label and says, oh, this was greenlit as DCEU, now this is DCU. Like we're saying this is because it fits. There's not really a lot that tethers it DCEU wise, so I think that's my theory. Is they're just going to retcon say, yeah, this.
Oh yeah, because there's not really. Yeah, you're right. There's nothing in there that, and that's what I mean. There's just nothing. When I go to see a movie, and I always tell you guys, it's how I feel to leave a movie that or how I feel when I'm watching it, where it takes me. And if I'm just not feeling it, I can tell you that I had a good time, I had fun with Superman 2025. But I said even my initial review, it's missing the majesty that this character. Once I've seen this character reach that majestic height, I can't get that out of my head. Even if I'm trying to be fair and say, hey, this is your shit now, it's like I can't unsee the majesty that was Man of Steel. I just can't. Even going back to when I was a kid, for what Superman was, that was majesty. It doesn't age well, and trying to compare it to Man of Steel is just not fair. But in 1980, when you're seeing Superman 2 on screen, and with the best technology that we had then, that was majestic.
Or like even 90. I think I first saw it in like 90. I first saw it in like 90, 91. So it was like 10 years removed, but still, I mean, it's pretty big scale for its time as far as a Superman movie.
It has a majesty to it that I'm only seen one other time. And for whatever James Gunn's Superman was, it wasn't majestic. It gave me what I already had, which is a guy that looks like he's on a comic book page. And I've always said, and this is coming from a guy who basically is a comic book nerd. If I want that, I will read that. When I want to see something, and when I dream about these superheroes, how they would be in real life, I'm not thinking of a fucking comic page. I'm thinking of something that would be here right in front of me. So that's what I want a director to do. I want them to give me that awe. I want to be awed. I want to be like, oh my God, the size and scale of this thing just shakes me. And I just didn't feel that in Superman or Supergirl or any of his other projects, to be honest with you. Even if I enjoy them to a certain level, there's no awe factor. The MCU.
Bell says make a real Flashpoint paradox and have Ezra next time I go back to DCU. And that'd be something.
Not because the Flashpoint Paradox was one of the dumbest stories that DC ever did. Thank you, Jeff Johns.
Thank you for a lot of things. Want to bring that back up? Okay.
Yeah. I'm just not awed. With the MCU, whether even the stuff that I wasn't necessarily, connecting with as much as others, like all 3 Thor movies to me suck. They're all a waste of my time. I don't like them. But I got the size and scope. I felt what they were trying to do. Iron Man, I felt the size and scope of Iron Man, what they were trying to do. I felt awe. Avengers, when they were rolling, every time I stepped into the formula that they always say when the Marvel formula. No, what the Marvel formula is awe inspiring. What Zach was doing was awe inspiring. DCU is just fun, but it's not that kind of fun that carries over to the next thing, I mean, it's not always fun. Supergirl wasn't really fun. Let's see. No, I mean, get a person to do it. All right. Fourth, I'm getting the feeling that you're trolling me, so I'm just going to keep moving on. I think it was a play on Superman Shazam animation because Superman Shazam team up and fight Black Adam. I would have actually done it a little bit. I would have done it.
They did an Absolute too. Superman versus Black Adam. It was awesome.
I would have if you guys haven't read King and Come, please go read it. It's one of the to me it's the best Superman story ever written. That's just my opinion. Let's see. But Blue Beetle was working. Well, you don't have, but it doesn't have to be. You're gonna have to make some adjustments, Whitey. You're gonna have to. I'm not saying do it one for one, but just do it in the spirit of take that universe that we were watching. Take the best elements of that DCU that we had fun with and wrap it up. One movie. And if some point in time in our lifetime before we leave this mortal coil, you ever want to revisit the Dark Side War or whatever we would have seen, that's great. But this by no means what I'm saying to do would affect that one way or another. So I just think it would have been a cool thing, especially for a comic book geek like him, who is also a movie maker. I mean, you've read all this other silly shit. You read Justice League International. But why aren't you reading Kingdom Come, James Gunn? If you're watching, Kingdom Come, I'll sell it to you. I'll give it to you. I'll give it to you if you don't. Let's see. I've never in my entire life, Bill, have had any use for Blue Beetle in any form, no matter who it was. I've always thought that Blue Beetle was a useless character. And whenever I see Blue Beetle and Booster Gold popping up in Justice League, that was Justice League telling me it's time to cut that book from my subscription. And not only would I, the book was almost getting canceled anyway. However, though, in a Kingdom Come storyline, and I'm just only using him because James Gunn said that he was going to be one of the first characters. I'm like, okay, then you pluck him from that world that's about to be destroyed, and you send him to our universe with the knowledge of this world, and you've connected those worlds, but you separated and distinguished them at the same time. So okay, if anybody has anything against what I'm saying and saying it's a dumb idea, well, is it any dumber than what they did? For whatever misgivings you may have about what I just laid out, and like I said, that's not in detail. I'm just spreading out what I'm going to present on the show. When we present on the show, I'm going to have graphics and stuff. But is what I'm saying, no matter what you may say, what's silly, is it any sillier than what they ended up doing? They got
is anything better, worse than what they did?
They got no value out of that money that they spent. No value. They got no monetary value because those movies ended up losing money. They had no moment. They had no value. So even if you're trying what I'm saying, it doesn't work. What you didn't work. What I'm saying wouldn't have cost you as much because you're still promoting those same movies. Flash goes last, and you have all that other stuff. And then guess what, guys. The movie that these are going to be streaming on, or the platform, is HBO Max. So guess what I'm doing to Black Adam? I'm adding some more shit to the end of that movie because I want you buying my subscription service too. I don't understand. But let's see. If they do, I'm not coming back. I can't see me coming back. I mean, I just don't have time. I just don't have any more time. I just don't have any more spirit. I just don't have the spirit to start over again. Like the Foo Fighters, like Dave Grohl and Foo Fighters. I have a confession to make, my friend. I'm getting tired of starting over again. That's me. I am, I'm not 14. I don't have the next 30 or 40 years or whatever to get involved in the universe. And with each time you do this, I don't believe that you could actually do it. This is going to be this. If they were to do this, it'd be the second time in 7 years? What faith would I have in anything that you're going to do? Absolutely not. So yeah, I hope it works out for her.
Well, like with Belle, I think she specifically is like it's Belle. Belle's saying it's like cancel one and revive the other, which like, well, you definitely would prefer that to just starting fresh on a new thing altogether.
You would have to see the problem with that is, I mean, and I always say this because we have to speak outside of our own presence when we think about this. And I would love for this answer to be to be what I hope it would be. Do we have the volume after all this time, the last meaningful, not the last DCU movie, because they're not all. I hate the way people say DCU. DCU to me is the original movie, not the fucking Harley Quinn. Stuff like that. Is there enough of us out there to justify it anymore? And how do we find that out? I mean, that's one of the questions because I got to be fair. For me, you no better. That's fucking to do it. But you're taking a risk. You're taking a risk with 2027, 2028 money based on. We don't have any data. Well, not enough data. Even if we were to look at the stuff we had, you need a lot more. I would love for people to say, I would love to be able to find out and say, how many of you are, how many, is there more of you out here that will propel this universe over the one we have now? I don't have a way to find that out, but I don't know. I'm not trying to be dismissive. I don't know. As far as the audiences, and then you try to it gets a little bit harder once you start getting into the general audience because they're just not as passionate about this as we are. They're not hosting streams about it. They're not watching these movies over and over again. They like them. They enjoyed them. They spent their money, but they're not like us. So I would need to find out before I say, let's bring back the DCEU because it wouldn't be the same thing. I'm pairing off all the stupid shit that they added on. And I'm starting. There is no DCU after it's the DCEU is Man of Steel, Batman versus Superman, Aquaman, Wonder Woman, and Zack Snyder's Justice League. That's your DCEU. Anything else you want to?
That's another thing I've kind of thought about too. Thinking this over is that I think if Zack were given the opportunity to do this, if you were given the opportunity to do this, I kind of see it being like one of those like what's the example of the. I don't think it's even as a proper name, but it would be like one of those sequels or one of those continuations where it's like, okay, we're taking off from where this one.
By the way, guys, I have failed. I said 40 minutes. We're clearly going over that. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I think it would be one of those. Again, I don't think this has a proper name, but it's one of those where it's like, okay, like Halloween's a good example. Like the Halloween franchise does this all the time, where it says, okay, we're the 2018 one or H2O, they did this where it said, okay, we're ignoring all those in between and we're taking
The
on
Highlanders. They Highlandered it.
Yeah, too. Yeah, exactly.
Zeiss. We're not going back to Zeiss. I didn't want to go back. What the fuck is this? What am I watching?
We didn't want to go the first time.
That was so stupid.
But yeah, that's I've thinking about it in the last couple months. I thought, yeah, if he actually got the go ahead to do that, I would foresee him kind of wanting to do something in that vein, and it probably that would be how the stipulation would say, okay, you take off from like where your last movie ended, but it's not. It's like a semi retcon kind of thing. Okay, it's following off of this, but not off of these. That's kind of how I see would most likely unfold. Like Highlander or I mean, like what were some other good examples you can think of? Like I said, Halloween does that all the time. Superman 2 or Superman Returns kind of did that, where it's like Superman Returns said we're just following from 2.
Which was totally ridiculous. But
well, you wanted them to fall for 3 and 4.
But the Kingdom Come thing allows for them to.
But you get what I'm saying, right?
Yeah, it allows for them to keep the door open to where if you ever wanted to tell, wow, what these guys when we saw them in Kingdom Come, they're old now. What do we Well, I want to know what happened to these characters. And to be honest with you, then I have the older version of Blue Beetle. Who is now in the DCU. He's a leftover. And I have him tell of, what happened, but there's something else I need to tell you about. There's something else that besides, mankind fucking themselves and blowing up the whole world, which is where you guys are, headed. If you Superman, you Justice League, don't stop this and don't do things differently than the world I came from. There's this gray, stony looking dude who, by the way, is looking for something that is probably planted on your world, and he's gonna fucking wipe out all life. Forgot about that part. There's that too. And I would make, because I think he's gonna end up doing it, I would make Darkseid an enemy in the DCU, because Darkseid is an enemy to all. He's an enemy to the multiverse, period. Doesn't matter what reality. When Crisis was happening, the fourth world, all those worlds were outside of that reality. And then that's how I get that started. And then, and then that's how, while you're doing this, while I'm telling you this, you know what I'm showing you? Before you even know what the fuck the Elseworlds logo is, I'm showing you that logo to the point where it's like, damn, you ever see that thing where they're doing like viral advertising? You see something, a shape of something, and you don't know what it is yet because nobody's explained it to you yet. That's how Elseworlds, from the moment he said, "Hi, my name is James Gunn, and I just took over as head of DC." Elseworlds needs to be a part of the situation. Not only for the shit in the Batman that you inherited that's not part of your universe, but for anything, because guess what? Like I've always said before, you're going to want that storyline that a Denis Villeneuve or a fucking Christopher Nolan or somebody's going to come to you and say, you know what? I don't want to do a superhero movie if it's going to be in the same vein as all the other ones, including yours, no offense, but I got my take on this. Read this. And you're going to be like, oh, wow, that's fucking amazing. And you're not going to want that guy to go anywhere else with that script. You're going to want him to stay in-house. But you don't want him to corrupt your universe because it's not the same tone and the same thing he wants. Elseworlds. That way you don't have to say no to big-name creators that are going to draw money because they don't fit with what you're doing. We should have been branding Elseworlds from day fucking one, and we haven't. They brought it up. I mean, give him credit. He brought it up, but we haven't been doing it. We haven't been talking. Elseworlds, DC created the multiverse. Done shit with it. And they created Elseworlds. Haven't done shit with it. I wouldn't be surprised if fucking Kevin Feige came out on Comic-Con with the Elseworlds logo with the marbles on it, because they tend to wait around for DC not to use the shit that they created and then just swipe them. Why the fuck is Marvel doing a multiverse collapse story and DC created that shit? You know what I mean? It's just like, what are you doing? Yeah. Kingdom Come makes comic lovers want. Whoa, hey, what?
Yeah, I saw that earlier. I was laughing at that. I was like, Aaron, oh, you got.
Did you get hacked? Is that the actual Aaron?
No, no, sis. She's
That's
got
not
the very esteemed sense of
that
humor.
woman, what's wrong with you? I shouldn't have even read. I when I put up your name, I expect peaceful happiness and acorns and cuddly koalas. Like, what are you doing? Wow, don't make me have to force 1,000 you to where I'm like, oh shit. Yeah, what the hell's going on in Australia? Hey, listen, your only shot now is this is starting to fade. Your only shot at doing Batman Beyond is the James Gunn because no one else is going to justify it. Nobody else is in. That's an Elseworld. That's an else in the future. That's an Elseworld. Yeah. See you later. James Gunn should have did something with Batman and Wonder Woman for Superman, but doesn't want to follow the Marvel formula MCU to. But she said that's not the Marvel formula. That's the DC formula. Bring the big gun, the biggest guns you have available. They go first. They let you know that the war has started. That's the DC formula. DC was around 25 years before Marvel Comics. They established this. So yeah, I say he and I find it hard to believe because James Gunn knows these things. He's a student of this genre, and a Generation Xer, so he saw it at its height. Halloween is my franchise. I'm trying to go through because we've gone way over. Sadly I would kill him because remember in Kingdom Come, Shazam sacrifices himself once he overcomes the worm in his brain, and he sees what's about to happen. He throws a spoiler alert. It's been out. It's a 30-year-old story. He throws himself at the atomic bomb, but he yells Shazam so that the bolt hits it before it reaches and kills too many people. But when he does so, he turns himself into Billy Batson, so he's not invulnerable anymore. So he dies. Be a dark ending, but hey, Would you be? I was promised an interview, but I don't think I'm ever going to get that interview. My best chance is hanging out at the Troma booth because Troma, he got to start with Lloyd. He got to start with me, and then Lloyd, why she set up was actually sending him the questions, and then all of a sudden this is just when he was James Gunn. Now this is after James Gunn studio head. I'm like, well, fuck. Well, there went that interview. I'll still try. Who never say never, guys. Never say never. It takes forever for me to get these interviews. Hold on for a second. Did you get home? What a spirited Sunday night weekend wrap. This is supposed to be the relaxed point of the week. This is where we get back here. And we leisurely talk. Tonight has not been leisurely. Tonight has been a fight. God damn it. All right. I could take it. So you guys can. By the way, nothing personal, guys. Nothing personal. I don't hate you over the James Gunn Guardians. I just feel like I owe it to you to escape that conversation. I just can't. I have nothing to give you. I have nothing to offer you in that conversation. I don't like where it comes from. We haven't seen his Batman. That's a problem for us. We haven't seen his Batman.
Well, we have seen him. We saw him in silhouette.
Yeah, okay. That'll tide me over to win. All right, guys. I think that's where we're going to go ahead and wrap it up because I should have been gone. This was not supposed to be a 2-hour and 5-minute show. This was supposed to be about maybe a 40 minutes to an hour show, and I have failed miserably in corralling things together. But hey, the conversation went where the conversation did. All right, so this is going to be the last normal stream. The next time you see me will be at previews night at San Diego Comic-Con. So look for those events. I will start pre-making those events. As the shows that we do on a nightly basis, I will have those generically set up for you, and I'll add to the thumbnail because something might happen during that day that I don't want to not capture on the thumbnail. So I will be getting those ready for you. I'll have some pre-recorded stuff with my little gyro cam, my new toys that I'll have in there.
So you're flying there Tuesday or Wednesday?
I am flying there Tuesday. My flight leaves at 12:50 in the afternoon, so I will be there about 1:30. I'll probably check in. My room is literally, if you know when you do those Google 360 things on the map where you're like, okay, here's your front door where you're staying, and you do the 360. Once you complete the 360, the convention center is right there.
Oh, okay.
It's right.
Like,
it's like literally a 4-minute walk. I walk out the door and I walk down the street. I'm at the convention center, which is the closest.
That reminds me when I stayed at the Hilton for TampaCon, it was like a block away. So
yeah. What would I ask James?
On reboot, I say I the term. I know what you're saying, Bell, is like the term. I would say deboot. That'd be like for what you're saying, like deboot or deboot tra, as says.
Shut the fuck up. What would I ask James Guy? What's your end game? First of all, are you staying? Are you staying? Because
well, yeah, but he probably could he like legally answer that right now? There's probably the NDAs and like shit like that.
I'll put. Do you envision yourself here beyond a certain amount of time? Do you feel confident about your future? Because here's the thing. I tell them this way. I'm looking for a way to buy into what you're doing. Even the stumbling aside, it's a bad day at the office. I wish it wasn't your second movie, but hey, it is. There's ways, there's always is. But beyond that, you're asking me to invest into this, to come along with you in this. When I just unlocked myself out of the trunk that was a DCU that they put into the river trying to get rid of me. Now, I know that's not you, but there's enough similarities here to where do you feel confident in your long-term existence here enough to where me as your customer can come along with you? One question. What era of the DC universe, and I think I know the answer to this question, but I'm hoping I get a different answer. What are you tied to the JLI Keith Giffen era? If so, are there other eras that you would entertain? And then my third question was, as a Gen Xer, as somebody who had the benefit of watching DC, looking at DC when it was at its original best, what about Elseworlds? Is that something that, and like I said, everything is tethered to the first question of, is your ass going to be around long enough for this to even matter? So yeah, I got a couple of questions. I have a list of questions that I sent Lloyd Kaufman. So I guess I could just pull up an old text. But all right, guys, like, subscribe. I will see you next Wednesday evening at some point. Just keep an eye on the alert bell. And if you still want to contribute and help out to the campaign to keep me alive while I'm in San Diego, the link is in the description. And just let me know what you want to do with it. Until Wednesday, until I'm surrounded by better weather and seagulls, have a good night. Have a good week. Stay safe. Next stop, Comic-Con.
See you guys.
You know what?
He's not going to play the outro.
Now it just gives me a check mark that I selected it. This is something new. Let's fuck around again. So anyway, until I see you on the beaches of San Diego, 40 degrees, lesser than it is in hell, with a hot dog, a greasy hot dog wrapped in greasy, unhealthy bacon. Have a good week.
Take care.